a clunker against Washington State. And, it's a lot of questions that need to be asked. This will be actually a shorter show from us. I am a little bit under the weather, so I do apologize. But so, Josh, we're going to break it down. Obviously, 34-21. It was only a 13-point game. The score isn't even close as it looks. It was a blowout. The game was never close. From the opening kickoff, basically, the game was over. Josh, I'll let you start. Anything you have to say? We're going to get into kind of the coaching staff and, kind of the long-term things in the second segment. But, what did you see from this game in particular? And, what does ASU need to do to get a win against USC this week?
Yeah, well, just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, no, this game, it seemed like it was over, after the first quarter. But, I think we could say definitively it was over, at halftime. It really was. They put up, 28 unanswered points. We gave up against them. Just one of the worst halves of football that I've ever seen. From a purely both sides of the ball, but I'm emphasizing on the offensive side of the ball. Just these guys were not motivated. It didn't look like at all. They were just not ready for this game. And coming off a bye week and one of the harder games to take the week before, this was a game that we really thought this team was going to come out and fight, literally just fight, fight for your life, fight for your seeding in the conference, your lead in the Pac-12 South. And man, did they do none of that. And they did none of that. And then they went below the bar. I was trying to save this till maybe later in the show, but this loss by Arizona State and Herm Edwards, it goes above and beyond any joy that beating University of Arizona, that terrible school, 70-7. Man, you could throw that out the window. I'm dead serious. With everything that we had going and this talent, the staff, the school, man, we just blew it out of the water in this football season. And, we've got some other segments talking about it a little later, but man, I'm ready for Herm to get lost.
Yeah, I have quite a bit to say more about Ray Anderson and Herm Edwards and kind of the whole motley crew out there in the next segment. But just strictly on this game in particular, it's pathetic. That's what I'm going to say. It's really pathetic because you know what? You were up 21-7 in a game that controlled the Pac-12 South against Utah at Utah. You came out in the second half and you got absolutely spanked. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing against Utah. 28 unanswered. And then you know what? Utah comes out during your bye week and absolutely hands you a gift. They lose to Oregon State, a team they're probably better than, and really just puts you right back into it. You had a bye week. You know what? Penalties, turnovers, all that aside, it's done. You know what? Fresh season starting from here. You have a home game. It's homecoming. They're honoring the Rose Bowl team, a team that hasn't been there in 25 years. ASU hasn't been to the Rose Bowl in 25 years. We've only been to 2 ever. And you know what? You had a chance. Washington State, a 3-4 Washington State team, a team that is nowhere worthy of playing with you. Yes, they are a solid team. But keep in mind, their head coach 2 weeks ago just quit his job and a million of their assistant coaches because they refused to get the COVID-19 vaccine. This is an interim head coach that has had 2 weeks now of coaching. Herm Edwards has been here for 3, 4, whatever years. It seems way too many now. But it was a bye week. You came out and absolutely laid an egg. 28-0 to start the game, 4 turnovers in the first half. And you know what? It's pathetic because that's 56 unanswered points. I know we scored a touchdown with like 10 seconds to go in the second quarter. In my mind, that's 56 unanswered points in 4 quarters of football. And that is unacceptable. Coming off a bye week, no less, playing Washington State with an interim head coach. And a Washington State team, I don't have it off the top of my head. Let me pull it up. Sorry, and they're 5-4 now, Washington State is. They lost to Utah State on the first game. They lost by 31 to USC. This is inexplicable for ASU. And you know what the sad part is some of those turnovers in the first half were, 15, 20-yard gains. They were moving the chains, and then a receiver fumbles. Next play, fumble. The offense was actually moving the ball. I thought they played much, much better than they did against Utah and and BYU, to be frank. But the thing is, Washington State's not a good team. You should be playing well against them. It's the games against Utah that you don't want to see eggs being laid. And, that's why I'm heavily out on Herm Edwards now. And I know, like I said, we can get into it if you want, because, we're only going to do 2 segments today. And, it's pretty much all one talk about how pathetic this game is and the ripple effects it has throughout this program.
No, I mean, we can only sit here and talk and think about, the forthcoming effects of this loss. I'm serious, because, there already is some heat under, Herm Edwards' belt, with some of the, recruiting methods he, allegedly, pursued. And, whether you like it or not, I mean, to be fair, like, that is, of all the, NCAA investigations that, you can just throw that out there and it's an automatic loom over someone's head. Recruiting and during COVID, that's really not that big of a deal in my eyes. But look, you broke the rules. Yeah. And now they're literally doing a deep dive into the program. When you just look at, everything that you laid out, the bye week, them not having coaches, everything on the table for us regarding the week before and, Oregon State losing. It just seems that, this team, and I'm not really, when I say this team, I'm not really talking about, Herm Edwards and company. That's a large portion of it, but ASU, just Arizona State, as in general, in basketball too, this is the culture. This is how it goes. If we are in a position, where we control our destiny, or, we have a very pivotal game that we need to win, or even just put on a good performance, impress some people, hell, impress recruits that are watching this game. We can't do it. We lay an egg, we choke, we cannot finish the job. And it's just something that is very sad to see. And at the end of the day, I'm talking about the program as a whole right there. But when we look at this football game, this Washington State game, with a magnifying glass, you just have to come out and say it. This team was not ready for this game. The coaches did not do their job. It's plain and simple. I mean, like you said, the offense, I think I agree. The offense was moving the ball, somewhat well the first, 3 or 4 drives. But we lost it when we needed the most, losing possessions, fumbling. I played football for a couple of years, but I know one thing. If you're running with the ball, the first thing you got to do is protect the ball. Mm-hmm. And, when they're attacking the ball, that's you got to put another emphasis on protecting the ball. And, we just didn't make the adjustments that needed to be made. And, we really saw it this game. I'm sure I saw a bunch of tweets. I can't confirm this, but, after Jaden threw his first pick, someone said he was laughing on the sideline. Not surprised by that at all. A lot of these players, I think they may have checked out. And, I know Herm went on the record saying, that he still believes in these guys. And, I do too. I believe that, they're worthy of something and they're capable of doing good things. But when we needed them to come out most and play hard, they didn't do it. The coaches weren't ready. We could go on and on, but it's a very low point in this program. And I think it's very, very, feasible to say that, that could be one of, Herm Edwards' last games he could coach this program, and potentially Ray Anderson. I'm not sure, what Michael Crow is going to do, but, only time will tell.
I mean, I have a big rant about ASU. I mean, so the thing you mentioned is that, the culture of ASU, we talked about Bobby Hurley. We talked about, Herm Edwards. And, I've been a huge defender of Herm Edwards, Jane Daniels, and, this entire program. And, you hit the nail on the head. The letdown. And, the title of tonight's episode is Lost and Repeat, because all this school does is repeat past mistakes of penalties, interceptions, fumbles. And I know penalties, interceptions, blah, blah, blah. Or sorry, not penalties, interceptions, fumbles, those you can't really control those. There is, though, to an extent, you don't need to be having 5 turnovers. That you can control. 5 turnovers is unacceptable. 4 and 1/2 against, a lower quality team is unacceptable. And
or 3 in like your first 4 plays.
Yeah, 3 in the first 3 possessions, actually. So, I mean, the thing that's pathetic is I led this off. If you look at the screen, Anderson, Edwards, and Co need to go. And I led this off with Anderson very specifically. Ray Anderson. Why are you sticking up for this guy? And you know what? I have an answer for that. The reason, and I've said it on this show, the reason he is sticking up for Herm Edwards is because he hired Herm Edwards without interviewing one other person for this job. If he fires fires Herm Edwards, he's got to go too. And yes, he has to go because look what the basketball team did. Yes, I know UCLA made a Final Four last year, and I know Oregon State went on a run and USC went on a run. But look at the regular season standings. I know we had COVID and we had XYZ. That championship was very in grass, not necessarily last year. 2 years ago was way more in grass, but things fell off the rails so quickly. Look at the 11 seed UCLA. Look at the 11 seed Oregon State. They made runs. That stuff is not happening at ASU. And I don't really blame Bobby Hurley, but Herm Edwards, you have an NCAA investigation. You pushed all $1 million of your chips into the center of the table for this year. Not only are you just falling short, you're losing embarrassingly at home to Washington State. You're killing yourselves against Utah, against BYU. You're making pathetic mistakes 7 or 8 games into the season that are unacceptable for a team that has Rose Bowl aspirations. I don't care if you have Rose Bowl aspirations. These aren't Holiday Bowl aspirations. These are Alamo Bowl. These are Sun Bowl. These are 7-5, 8-4 type seasons that they are trying to get right now with the performances they are putting out there. Herm Edwards and Ray Anderson need to go for ASU to go anywhere in the future.
Yeah, and it's pretty simple. That's what it's come down to. I mean, Herm Edwards is it's safe to say his time here, he's done. I mean, this guy has, we've given him a fluke season, a little full season to run through whatever you want to run through. Brand new offensive coordinator, give everybody a free year of eligibility. Hey, guys, it's time for me to give you a speech. We're going to run this be back. And man, you slip up once, you get a gift thrown into you with the Oregon State loss. And then I just can't believe that is how we come out at home, our first day game. Mm-hmm. He talked this team up like they were excited to play our first day game.
They gave up.
And that's how he came up. I mean, this team was checked out. I'm going to say it again. I think this team is checked out. There's certain players that really, I mean, how many games can we say have we played? How many, games have we played with a full, literal, like a full roster with Badger, Chip Trainum, and Rashad White, all 3 playing? I don't say maybe 1 game this season. And our wide receivers have been out too. That dude, Bryce Thompson is his name. Mm-hmm. That was maybe his, I want to say, 3rd or 4th game played this season. And it's just, you see these guys, they're not really, I don't know.
Yeah, and answer me this. I have a question for you. NCAA investigation aside, ASU has legitimate aspirations of being up there with Oregon, with USC, with Washington as the premier schools in basketball and football. Obviously, we're focused on football here. Herm Edwards has now had 2 seasons. I think his best wins would be 8 wins. I think that's it. I mean 9 if you include that bowl win over Florida State where no one played. ASU got like 6 turnovers and still scored 13 points, something pathetic like that. Do you think Herm Edwards has deserved to keep his job regardless of the NCAA investigation? And that's the point I'm trying to make is the pathetic outlook of this team, how, they returned 20 seniors. And I know Lole got hurt to start the season, which was a huge loss. And XYZ, go down the list. Every team has a laundry list of things that went wrong. And I just don't understand why we are giving Herm Edwards so much love. Is it because, he was ESPN's sweetheart and, no one hated this guy? I was the one that always said, he's a grower of boys into men. It's people that their parents want them to play for Herm Edwards. What I have seen this season is an absolute mockery of everything that was said, because there is no discipline on the field. We're seeing flags, we're seeing penalties, we're seeing interceptions, we're seeing fumbles, just a lack of basics to the game of football. And that's something that comes directly from the coaching. And it's something that has happened from Dennis Erickson. It's something happened from Todd Graham. It's been at ASU forever. And it's lost and repeat because this school is not the USC. And I know USC is even showing their own struggles. They're not Oregon, who's now number 4 in the rankings. But man, it's just so sad that they put up with such mediocrity because the talent this year with a solid head coach, and I don't want to make it sound like national championship is what I'm talking about, but somewhat of that LSU type national championship season where, you know what, they weren't all that good the year before. I think they lost like 4 or 5 games. They had this just huge conglomeration of talent put together for 1 year. And that year was the greatest college football team of all time. I'm not saying ASU is supposed to be the greatest college football team of all time. To say that they could have made a Rose Bowl in a pathetic Pac-12 this year is not out of the realm at all. To look at this Utah team and say that they shouldn't be beating this Utah team by at least 10 points is not ridiculous at all. And I know Utah's a solid team, and I'm not trying to disrespect them at all. I'm trying to disrespect ASU because of how they've disrespected the fans this season. Getting booed at home against Washington State is not something I had on my bingo card this year.
No, I don't think anyone did, And I think, if we bring it back to the question you posed to me, does Herm Edwards deserve to keep this job and, continue to coach, in this program? And I'm going to say, I don't think he does. I don't think he does. And for, I think, a couple of reasons. One, what was the biggest thing, that we harped on, we talked about, Herm Edwards threw around at every media conference, every post-game discussion, he involved himself in. Any guesses off the top of your head?
No.
The pro model.
Pro style, yeah.
We are going to run the pro style model. I'm going to get these kids ready for the NFL. Well, I don't know too many coaches who coach in the NFL for very long who give where their teams are averaging 120 yards a game on penalties, 100 plus, something around there. I know good coaches make adjustments with their team. They overcome problems like that halfway through the season. And Herm Edwards hasn't done that. This is not the pro model, the pro style that he proposed when he came to this school. I mean, I expected at least at this point in the season, in his tenure, this is the same team essentially he's had for 2 years, literally the same guys for 2 years, but essentially 3 years. And he just lays an egg. I mean, I can't really go into detail too much because there's too many things that went wrong in this Washington State game. But it really just sums up, ASU kind of the culture when we're winning as a whole, and Herm Edwards. I don't think he's good enough to coach this team anymore. I think there are better coaches out there that are more hungry and more willing to put forth an effort into coaching this team. And, and it will be interesting to see, when the tower crumbles, how many pieces fall, because
a lot.
And there's a bunch of high caliber, coaching staff on this team, like truly. Marvin Lewis, Herm Edwards, Antonio Pierce. These guys are all, some in some light getting investigated. And, at the end of the day, if Ray Anderson is gone, it's going to come down to Michael Crow. And who knows what he could do. He might just want to wipe the whole slate clean. It's really a matter of, it's just his decision or some board of trustees decision, because we'll never know all the facts. I'm sure we'll never know every detail of what went on and what happened. But, this season you could see a really big change in Arizona State Sun Devils football coaching staff. And, it's going to be a tough couple of years. I'm telling you this, because a lot of these guys, they're gone, including the coaches.
Yep. So before we wrap up here, I'm going to get a score prediction against USC, of course. I know we didn't break that game down as much, but I promise you, you're not missing out on much because USC stinks, ASU stinks, Drake London's out for the year, and ASU's probably going to have 25 penalties. So before I get a score prediction from you, Josh, I pulled up this stat. There are 130 teams that have qualified for whatever Division I penalties per year. Out of the 130, Arizona State is ranked 124th with 8.6 penalties per game. The only two Power 5 schools that are behind them are Ole Miss, who is in 130th. Actually, it's pretty ridiculous, averaging almost 10 a game. And then the only other Power 5 school below them is the University of Arizona, one spot below them at 125th with exactly 9 penalties per game. But by the way, ASU had 7 penalties per game last year and now 8.6 this year from a senior squad. That's straight coaching. It's not those players. I know the players are the ones that execute the plays, but man, it's just gut wrenching and it's just migraine central from ASU. But that being said, I think USC sucks. I've been on their train earlier this season. I am heavily off it without Drake London because that's an automatic 100 yards of offense per game. That's not going to happen. I don't even know what the spread is. I'm taking ASU. I really think they're going to rebound. I think last game really was a fluke. I don't think this team's as special as I originally thought. Give me ASU 34, USC 28.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I know we talked about it a lot when we were doing predictions for the Washington State game. We didn't think it was going to be close. We were both wrong.
Well, not really. It wasn't close.
Well, it wasn't close, but not in the way that we had hoped. And, I really do want to tail you in a sense, for lack of a betting term. I do want to tail you and really say, this is going to be a bounce back ASU game, but you know how many times I've said that, Willis, and it just
Me too, man.
So you know what? Hey, if I was a betting guy, I'm going to fade myself. No, I'm just kidding. I really, truly think that this ASU team is just checked out. We're done. I think the season's a wrap. I think Jaden, he's got other aspirations as well as a couple other guys in this team like Merlin and, maybe trade him or Rashad White. I definitely see USC winning this game. I mean, why not? They're going to come out and blow us up after we just laid an egg against Washington State. I could totally see it happening. Just like last week we got beat by an interim head coach. We're going to get beat by him again. I mean, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I see USC winning this game by a touchdown, maybe more.
All right. So USC winner from Josh, ASU by 6 for me. So that is all on a night that the Atlanta Braves are about to win the World Series. We say thank you for watching. We will see you next Monday. Sorry for the flip-flop and sorry for the short show today. We will be back at full health and full length next week. So we appreciate